order at 5:31 on May 13th, 2025, a joint meeting of the FHR and Government Service Committee. As chairman of the Finance Committee and Secretary of Government Services, I am calling to order specifically the Finance Committee and turning it over to the chairperson of the Government Services, Supervisor Caprillion.
Thank you, and I am calling Government Services joint meeting to order.
I'd like to have notes made that Supervisors Miller, Supervisor Spencer, Supervisor Kelly, and myself are here. Excused this evening from FHR is Supervisor Wish and Supervisor Nielsen. From Government Services, present is Supervisor Coleman, Supervisor Pritzker, Chairman Kramer, and myself. I know that Supervisor Baranth contacted me within the last couple hours and said he was running late, so I'd expect him here shortly. Okay, well, I'll move it.
Pardon me, Supervisor.
Yes.
We have two youth and governance reps here as well, so if we can note them for the record. Do you want to come up here and acknowledge your presence?
Thank you.
Please. You want to come to the mic? Is the podium mic live? If you can just come to the podium mic. And Youth and Governance Representative Widener is excused.
Testing. Yep.
No need to read the Youth and Governance statement. Just state your name.
Hi, I'm Gianna Balky, and I'm on the Government Services Board.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Valeria Rivera, and I'm part of the FHR committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the agenda item that we are going to address this evening is a resolution 2025-10. It reads as follows: consideration of resolution 2025-10 by the Finance and Human Resource Committee and Government Services Committee, authorizing the amendment of the telecommunications service agreement with Securus Technologies to avoid interruptions of services within the Racine County Jail and transferring funds within the 2025 contingent and Racine County Sheriff's Office budget. We are looking for action to approve this evening for first reading this evening, May 13th, 2025. I would like to call up to the podium Chief Deputy Jim Widener and Captain Brad Friend. Thank you, gentlemen, for this evening, and the mic is now yours.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having us here tonight. My name is Jim Widener. I'm the Chief Deputy with the Sheriff's Office, and with me tonight is
Captain Brad Friend. I'm the administrator of the jail.
All right. So this evening, as Supervisor Trottier stated, kind of two purposes. One is to provide information on a recent FCC rule change that will now moving forward have an impact operationally and financially on the Racine County Jail. And the second is to respectfully request the approval of a one-year contract with Securus Technologies to provide telecommunications services for the Racine County Jail. So recently there was an FCC rule change that is having significant impacts on the Sheriff's Office, specifically the jail. It is the Martha Reed, Wright Reed Just and Reasonable Communications Act. And the goal of that act was to reduce the financial burden on inmates and their families when it came to making phone calls out of correctional facilities. So the act reforms have now limited the ability to collect certain types of fees and commissions off of phone calls. Now, historically, phone calls, communication within the jail has been a source of revenue for the Sheriff's Office that helps to offset other areas within our budget. Now, with this, one of the most significant limitations of the act is the elimination of site commissions. With this act coming into play, we are no longer able to collect site commissions, which will cut off all of the revenue that we have historically seen.
So as the chief stated, this has been something that has been coming kind of down the pipe for a little while now. We were first made aware of this by our provider, Securus, in early October, it was passed by Congress in July, and they went ahead and published the order in September. We were made aware of what that meant for us exactly the early part of October. So we're kind of scrambling to figure out how we're going to overcome this deficit of 900,000 plus. And some of the things that come out of that revenue, which unfortunately we're now going to have to pay for, we have a full-time technician. As you can imagine, having phones, tablets, and all of this technology in the jail for potentially 876 inmates comes with a lot of technical know-how. So we have a full-time tech that we'll have to be paying for, electronic monitoring, call and video visitation monitoring. Some of our investigative features, and some of these do help to protect the inmates and their phone pins from being compromised and used by other inmates. So some of these services that the jail very much relies on now come at a cost. So not only are we losing the revenue, we're losing some of these services that we won't be losing them, but we now have to pay for them.
So with that, as Captain Friend stated, so the loss of the revenue through the site elimination of site commissions. For this year's budget, it was estimated at $1 million of revenue that would then be offset. So we will now no longer be able to collect that revenue to help offset the budget. And then now to provide these critical services of telecommunications within the jail, we'll have to enter into a contract with Securus for approximately $250,000 for 1 year. So moving forward, that is what we are asking you tonight, is to approve the 1-year contract with Securus to continue to provide the telecommunications services within the jail. Captain Friend and purchasing have already been actively working on developing an RFP to go out for these services within the next few weeks. An RFP will go out publicly and to gather bids on providing from various vendors on providing this service moving forward in a longer term contract. And we feel that that is the best path forward to enter into the best option to provide those services at the best and most reasonable cost for the county. We will continue to work with finance and the county executive's office on finding various solutions to cover the revenue deficit that we now find ourselves in, as well as for payment of this $250,000 contract moving forward for the 1 year with Securus. There are multiple legal appeals against this FCC rule that are still outstanding. We'll continue to work with Corp Counsel on monitoring these legal actions and waiting to see when the rulings do come down. It is estimated that during 2025, there is an expectation of some of these rulings coming out, and to monitor that and see what effect it may have on this new FCC rule moving forward. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions.
Questions from the FHR committee as well as Government Service Committee, and then I will get to questions from those supervisors that are not on either of those committees. Supervisor Spencer.
Thank you. Hi, guys. My question is regarding the timing. If we sign a 1-year contract, this states that it's go to the end of 2025 and you're collecting RFPs. So is this going until May and then we go, or is it not quite a full year contract that we can negotiate?
It'll be through the end of December. I'm actually working on the RFP with purchasing right now. We feel that with all the changes in the telecommunication industry, there's a lot of things within these companies that are going to be changing significantly. And we feel that for Racine County to receive the best deal, that we do go out for RFP to see how those changes affect the telecommunication industry. So it's kind of two-part. We'd like to finish up our year with Securus, and at the same time, parallel go out for the RFP and really see what's best out there in the telecommunication industry as a whole that will best fit Racine County.
The goal with the RFP is that we'll put it out very shortly, and then we'll receive the feedback, select the vendor, and then have a price point that will be able to go into this coming budget process.
Because of the changes that are inherent with this act, we needed a contract. And so this 1-year contract is kind of a stopgap. It gets us to the end so that we can get that RFP out there and try to get the best deal for Racine County.
And then my second question is regarding the youth care facility. I know I asked this at the Government Services Committee, but then I left my notes somewhere. Will the two contracts still, likely be together with whoever we contract with, right? We wouldn't keep one Securus and,
So they, the YDCC does have a standalone contract with Securus right now. They have their own contract and we have our contract. So as we put this out to RFP, we'll be entering into a contract specific to the jail only. It will not affect the YDCC. There are different governing rules for the YDCC on what can and can't be done and what has to be provided to the youth in that facility. So that's why they have a standalone contract to address all those specific needs.
Questions from committees? Seeing none, I'm going to open up for questions from supervisors that aren't currently serving on any of those two committees. Supervisor Rossi.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sorry it was late. Maybe I missed it. When was the county aware of this potential issue?
So we first became aware of this in October. And I started to identify what the FCC rule was and what the impact was going to be on us. As soon as we were made aware of it, we had meetings with the county executive, corp counsel, and finance at the time to explain what was going on and then to begin to look into it, look into research, and to see what those impacts are going to look like.
Thank you.
Supervisor Coleman.
Just wanted to publicly say, because you forgot to mention, when we were in government services, basically the offset of the income that's going to be lost will be made up with the DOC rentals that they have within the jail. And that's how everything is going to be covered. So I just thought that I should say that on their behalf of what's going on.
So the two portions, the offset of the revenue, the estimated $1 million that we put into the budget this year, and then we have the $250,000 for the 1-year standalone contract. So working with finance using once the budget from last year was justified, or I'm sorry, all kind of reviewed. Some of the leftover funds, along with funds that we have currently in our budget, will cover the 1-year contract. And then we currently do have a DOC bed rental contract that generates revenue. And the goal is to look at the DOC bed rental contract to help offset the $1 million that would be the lost revenue from the current Securus contract. Thank you.
Any additional questions that we have on the floor? Seeing none, what I'd like to do is I'll take this individually with committees. I'm going to ask for a motion from the FHR committee. I need a first, please.
I will so move.
I have a first from Supervisor Miller, a second from Supervisor Kelly. I'm going to ask one more time, and this will be read at the meeting this evening. Are there any additional questions, comments we have of the individuals here making the presentation? Hearing none and seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? Hearing no opposition and hearing everyone all in favor from the FHR committee, this will go in front of the county board this evening for first reading. And I'm going to turn it over to Chairperson Caprillion.
Thank you. We will need a similar motion from Government Service Committee member.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and second. Any comment or question? All those, youth and governance, actually, how do you wish to vote? And go ahead, finance, youth and governance rep too. How do you can just holler it out. Aye, both ayes. Okay, committee, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. And with that, we have exhausted government services agenda.
And I am going to say thank you, gentlemen, for this evening and the presentation you put on. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Meeting is adjourned.
Good evening. I'd like to call the executive committee meeting to order. And the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion, corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, consideration of the resolution number 2025 by the Executive Committee confirming ratifying the authority of council for Racine County to add additional defendants to the opium litigation, including in MDL 2804, action request for first reading tonight. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Executive Committee members, you probably recall us being here many times to discuss the opioid matter. The first time we were here before the Executive Committee was back in originally December of 2017. So I don't know how many of you recall that, but I do, just like it was yesterday. But in any event, that one, really, we were here at that time to get authorization to enter into a contract with outside counsel and then to enter into these lawsuits that have been pending for the last 8 or so years. So we've been here numerous times since 2017 to talk to you about settlements, receiving those settlement figures. We've also talked about some of the bankruptcies that are pending in some of these companies that we've been suing. And so the most recent one was, I think, back in June or July of just last year, where we accepted some settlement dollars from Kroger. So that's the last time we were here, back in July of 24. We have, early this year, we received an open records request from a law firm that had been representing Optum, Express Scripts, and a couple of other companies in regards to the litigation. And they were asking about our resolution, the original one that we entered into back in 2017. And they followed that request for open records up with a claim indicating that they did not believe that our original resolution provided us authorization to sue them. You may or may not recall, but the language in that original resolution indicated that we could sue manufacturers and other defendants, and others that we might find through discovery and our own process of discovery. And so, again, what you have before you now is another resolution that will clearly, I mean, it's kind of like a belt and suspenders approach. We certainly believe that original resolution being open-ended to allow for suit against other manufacturers and others that we may find has been adequate for the last 8 years. But again, this particular defendant is making an argument that that specific resolution did not authorize suit against Express Scripts and Optum. So what you have before you is now a resolution that is similar to what you would have had back in 2017 when we originally authorized the suit, but it now specifically names a number of defendants, including Optum and Express Scripts and others, and also has the additional language that we can still add other defendants through discovery. And so it will basically kind of solidify, raise no doubt now that we are allowed to bring suit against those entities. So that, I think, just kind of summarizes the need for the resolution that is before the committee tonight.
John, if I could just add one additional thing, and thank you for the summary. One clarification that's in relation to the argument and the claim being brought by these defendants, the public records request. This is not unique to Racine County. It's not limited to Racine County. This is an argument or theory that they're raising, as far as I know, nationwide.
Correct.
So the approach that is being recommended here is in alignment with those other counties with the same council in the state of Wisconsin. I suspect similar types of action is being considered nationwide.
That's correct.
Are there any questions? Supervisor Miller?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we send this resolution 2025-11 to the county board for first reading tonight.
Motion's been made and seconded to move this forward to the county board tonight. Are there any other further questions? Oh, this is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Item number 3 on the agenda,
Move to adjourn.
we are adjourned. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order tonight, the county board meeting. If the clerk could call the roll.
Supervisors Capralian and Wish are excused, and we are waiting for Supervisor Hopkins. Everyone else is in the chambers.
Thank you. Supervisor Coleman, as customary, could you lead us in the opening prayer?
All right, let's stand up, y'all. Father God, we come to you thanking you for giving us another day above water. We thank you for assembling in our meeting. We thank you for coming together, unifying on one accord. We thank you for everything that you're going to do in our lives. Amen.
Amen. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Like, we could call on Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise tonight to honor one of the true giants in public service for Racine County. If you've not read his obituary, please look it up. As you will hear in the resolution which we will consider tonight, Jim Rooney had a distinguished career of 19 years on the county board. But his service did not end there, as Mr. Rooney was also Racine County Highway Commissioner. But his service did not end there, as Mr. Rooney was also Racine County Public Works Director. But his service did not end there, as he served in the Wisconsin Assembly as a legislator. And I want to quote, I think, a pertinent line from his obituary about his service in Madison. Jim prided himself on reaching across the aisle to get things done for the citizenry he served, long before politics became so partisan. He had a love for our Lake Michigan, and he founded, as a teenager, in 1947, the Racine Yacht Club Juniors. He was also elected the club's Commodore. And in 1985, he was appointed by Governor Earl as the chair of the Wisconsin Waterways Commission. He was reappointed, listen to this list, by Governor Tommy Thompson, Governor Scott McCollum, Governor Jim Doyle, and Governor Scott Walker. 3 Republican governors, 2 Democrat governors. That is quite rare and quite a tribute. It was in that position on the Waterways Commission that we are perhaps most deeply in debt to Jim Rooney. Because in that position, he was able to commandeer millions and millions and millions of dollars, state, federal, and even international, to develop and maintain our harbor and marina and waterways, lakes, and rivers throughout Wisconsin. Truly, Jim Rooney was a stellar public servant. As our usual protocol this evening, I will ask in a few moments that we consider the sympathy resolution. We will then vote on it, and then the clerk will read the resolution. And finally, as a tribute to Jim, the chair will invite us to rise for a moment of silence. So I'd ask unanimous consent that we now consider resolution 2025-9.
Seeing no objection,
I would move for approval.
motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. So if the clerk could read resolution.
Resolution number 2025-9 by individual supervisors expressing sympathy to the family of former County Board Supervisor James F. Rooney. To the honorable members of the Racine County Board of Supervisors. Whereas James F. Rooney became a member of the Racine County Board of Supervisors in April 1966 and served until April of 1984, and again served from April of 1998 until April 1999, representing the 4th districts. And whereas during his tenure on the county board, he served as chairman of the county board, first vice chairman of the county board, chairman and first vice chairman of the executive committee, chairman of the county planning committee, chairman of the county planning and civil defense committee, and vice chairman of the welfare committee. He also served on the judicial administration committee, the personnel committee, the county planning committee, the courthouse and sheriff committee, the building and space needs committee, and the law enforcement and legal services committee, along with the legislative committee. And whereas during his tenure as county board supervisor, he gained the respect of his colleagues, department heads, and constituents. And whereas James F. Rooney passed away on May 3rd, 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Racine County Board of Supervisors stand and pause for a moment of silence in memory of James F. Rooney, and be it further resolved that the county clerk send a copy of this resolution to the family of James F. Rooney, along with the sincere sympathy of the Racine County Board of Supervisors.
We can stand for a moment. Thank you. Item number 4, public comments pursuant to section 272 of the Racine County Court of Ordinances. Each speaker shall be allotted 3 minutes, which Vice Chairman Meyer will be timekeeper. So we've got one person that's forwarded up here, and that's Ralph Dunn. Good evening, Ralph. Why don't you give your address,
Okay,
record?
my name is Ralph L. Dunn. Address is 13500 6½ Mile Road, Village of Caledonia. Zip is 53108.
Go ahead.
I'm here this evening to address what myself and my family believes is a safety issue very close to this facility. A while back, we were traveling southbound on the east frontage road, approaching the intersection of the frontage road and Highway C. We had passed the warning sign for stop ahead, and suddenly a vehicle appeared to our right coming up the hill from the interstate. It hit a concrete foundation that a DOT tower was standing. When it hit that tower, hit that foundation, that car became airborne and went completely over the guardrail. We were fortunate enough to hear the bang of the car on the foundation. It caught my attention. We saw the car airborne. I dove to the right and avoided any contact. We were about 1 second away from being underneath that car. Now, I'll advise you how the car got there. Highway 20 merges into the interstate and starts to complete the merge about underneath the Highway C overpass. That car interfered with a semi, and when it did that, the contact made the vehicle veer severely to the right, which would have gone from a northbound vehicle to a due eastbound vehicle. It traveled through the fencing that was there to keep animal life off the interstate, traveled through that fencing, came up at an angle up the grade. It hit that foundation for that tower, and that's what launched it over the guardrail, and the car landed initially in the center of the east frontage road.
15 seconds.
Pardon me?
15 seconds.
Continue on.
Bottom line is, I believe that a guardrail needs to be extended down at the interstate. There's already a guardrail there prior to the wall that starts, which provides safety for the underpass for the Kraut Road. So there's already a guardrail approaching that cement wall. I believe there should be an extension of that guardrail to the overpass of Highway C to avoid anything coming through between that existing guardrail and the overpass for Highway C and having the same thing happen to somebody else. Now, it may have happened, it has only happened once in the 8 years that that has been configured that way. But when our family talked about this, our two grandchildren and ourselves, we realized how close we were to not being here tonight. And so I would like serious consideration to be given to extend that guardrail, whatever it takes to keep cars from coming up that incline and interfering with the frontage road. Any questions?
Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for your time.
Is there any other person that wants to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. County Executive? Oh, go ahead.
Supervisors, I just want to take a minute of your time and give you a little news that I think everybody in the room has been waiting to hear. This week, the YDCC will be operational. So I thought you wanted to hear that. You want to hear that from me tonight. So it will be operational this week. We passed the DOC inspection by teams of inspectors last week. We had a few things to follow up on. We had verbal approval today. We'll have a written letter later in the week, but it will be operational this week. So just want to let you know. All right?
Thank you, County Executive. Item number 5, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, which is automatically waived unless requested by a majority of the members present. Seeing none. Item number 6, resolutions and ordinances referred to committee.
There are none.
Item number 7, introductions of resolutions and ordinances for first reading and referral.
Resolution number 2025-3 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the transfer within the 2025 capital budget of $200,000 and funding previously approved for the design of an indoor community ice arena. Resolution number 2025-4 by Finance and Human Resources Committee denying the claim of Christopher Green. Resolution number 2025-5 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the transfer of funds within the Human Services Department, Public Works and Development Services Department, capital funds, and various departments in the general fund to close the 2024 year. Resolution number 2025-6 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the First Amendment to the term loan agreement with the Racine County Board of Drainage Commissioners. Resolution number 2025-7 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing a multi-year revenue lease with Lee's Deli, Inc. for the Human Services Department. And resolution number 2025-8 by Public Works, Parks, and Facilities Committee authorizing a contract with Alexandra Marinson doing business as Pucker Up Shakeups to sell concessions at Einer Fisher Park between May 24th, 2025 and September 2nd, 2025.
Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your executive committee met earlier this evening and unanimously passed Resolution 2025-11, confirming and ratifying the authority of the Council of Racine County to add additional defendants for the opioid litigation. We would like to move that to County Board for first reading only this evening if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections. And Supervisor Trotter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, earlier this evening, the FHR Committee and Government Services met to discuss Resolution 2025-10. It also was unanimously approved and recommended to move forward for first reading this evening to the County Board. Without objections, I'm requesting unanimous consent that this be sent to the County Board for first reading this evening.
Seeing no objections.
Resolution number 2025-10 by the Finance and Human Resources Committee and the Government Services Committee authorizing the amendment of the telecommunications services agreement with Securus Technologies to avoid interruption of services within the Racine County Jail and transferring funds within the 2025 contingent and Racine County Sheriff's Office budget. And resolution number 2025-11 by the Executive Committee confirming and ratifying the authority of council for Racine County to add additional defendants to opioid litigation, including an MDL 2804.
Number 8, communications and claims.
Number 1, Racine County Facilities Management Notable Project Status Report for the month of April 2025.
Item number 1 was referred to Public Works, Parks, and Facilities Committee.
Number 2, resolution requesting the Wisconsin State Legislature provide support for elk damaged properties from Winnebago County. Number 3, resolution in support of reauthorization of state funding for Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program from Green Lake County. Number 4, application of Wisconsin Electric Power Company gas operations doing business as We Energies for authority to install natural gas transmission facilities in the town of Brighton, Dover, and Norway, and the villages of Rochester, Raymond, and Caledonia, and the city of Oak Creek in Kenosha, Racine, and Milwaukee counties, Wisconsin, Project 6630 CG 139 from the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. And number 5, notice of application for final closure and long-term care for Kestrel Hawk landfill located at 1969 Oaks Road, Racine, Wisconsin, from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
Items number 2 through 5 are referred to the Economic Development and Land Use Planning Committee.
Now, items number 6 through 9 are claims against Racine County, and items number 10 through 42 are notices from the United States Bankruptcy Court.
Items number 6 through 42 are referred to the Finance and Human Resources Committee and Corporation Council.
Request any copies. Supervisor Wishaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like a copy of number 2, 3, and 7, please.
Supervisor Horth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to request a copy of 1 through 5.
Supervisor Kolb.
Same thing, copies 1 through 5.
Supervisor Trotter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Copy for numbers 3 and 4.
Supervisor Coleman.
4, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Supervisor Miller.
3 and 5, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Spencer.
Thank you very much. Copy of number 2, number 5, and number 6.
Supervisor McReynolds.
Copies of 1 through 5, please.
I'll take a copy of number 7.
Chairman, if I get a copy number 4 and 5.
Okay. Supervisor Pretzker.
Copy of number 6, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Hoffman.
I get a copy of number 4 and number 5.
I think we've given everybody every copy now. Oh, Supervisor Shakur.
Thank you. Number 6 and 37, please.
Any further? All right, moving on. Number 9, communications from the county executive.
Report number 2025-2 by County Executive making a reappointment to the Western Racine County Sewerage District Board.
Refer that to economic development.
Report number 2025-3 by County Executive making a reappointment to the Racine Public Library Board of Trustees.
Point to the executive committee.
Report number 2025-4 by County Executive making an appointment to the Burlington Public Library Board of Trustees.
Again, executive committee.
Report number 2025-5 by County Executive making reappointments to the Racine County Ethics Board.
That would also go to the executive committee.
Report number 2025-10 by County Executive making a reappointment to the Racine County Human Services Board.
That would go to the human services committee.
Report number 2025-11 by County Executive making a reappointment to the Golf Course Improvement Committee.
That'll go to public works committee.
And report number 2025-12 by County Executive making an appointment to the Eagle Lake Management District Board.
And that goes to economic development.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
given that report 2025-10 is a reappointment to one of our own members, I would ask that unanimous consent that we take that up now.
Any objections?
And then I would move to confirm Supervisor Shakur to the Human Services Board.
Second it.
Any discussion? Any questions? Okay, so motion's been made and seconded to appoint Shakur to the Human Services Board. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Congratulations. Motion passed. Number 10, standing committee reports containing recommendations on referred items.
There are no reports.
Second reading of resolutions and ordinances.
We only have them under majority vote this evening. That would be resolution number 2025-1 by Economic Development and Land Use Planning Committee to support increasing base funding to $20.2 million for county conservation funding statewide. And ordinance number 2025-2 by Economic Development and Land Use Planning Committee amending section 20 of the Racine County Code of Ordinances regarding the consideration and or issuance of zoning permits, conditional use, and or site plan review zoning approvals for solar energy systems.
Motion's been made and seconded. Super Rutkowski.
Thank you, Chair. Resolution number 2025-1 is a request to the state of Wisconsin to increase funding for county land and water conservation committees. And if there are any questions, I'm sure that Chad would be able to answer them. This is a significant increase in funding from more than double, I believe.
Yeah, so Trottier, Supervisor Trottier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chad, if you could provide us what the prior year's funding has been and what type of percentage of increase this is to the funding, please?
Okay, prior year funding has been roughly $9 million around base funding. So that's something that's already in statute that we are guaranteed to get for land conservation staff statewide. And then every now and then we get a one-time bump up if there's a request from a state legislator or somebody that makes that happen. But to meet the statutory requirement, it's $20.2 million. So the chart I have, and maybe you had in your packets, the bottom line, the dark line straight across is the last 20 years of funding, which is average of 9 million. And it currently, with inflation, salaries going up, everything going up, it's up to 20.2 million. So we've been getting kind of the same thing for the last 20 years. And statewide, we agreed that land conservation committees have agreed that this was a request they wanted to put in.
Thank you very much. Much needed. Over needed.
Yeah, and I just want to add a little bit. I know Supervisor Spencer and Trottier and myself were up in Madison in January, February, talking with the state legislators just about this matter. So it's part of the county association platform and they're pushing on it. So hopefully we'll be successful in this budget. Any other questions? Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Supervisor Kowski, the ordinance.
So very close to 9 months ago, this board passed a moratorium on solar energy systems, hoping that we would develop a comprehensive and consistent approach. And We had two hearings on this item because the Journal Times did not publish the first notice. So we've been ready to go with this for a while. And I would say that over a year of reading and discussion, almost everybody on that committee, the EdLub committee, is very familiar with these terms. But I would say that the expert, the person who can tell you all about glare measurements and drainage tiles and insurance, would be John Circutich and Raleigh.
Well, not me. And Tom also stole about everything I was going to say. This is something that staff has been working on for a long time now, about a year. It was originally requested by Tom yourself. You made us notice of this, and staff started working on that. Due to the complexity of this, we brought counsel in, and counsel also brought some more counsel in to make sure that we were ready for this. There was a moratorium passed about 9 months ago. It's set to expire in July. I'm sorry, May. So basically right now it's set to expire. I'm not going to get in their way because they're ready to answer questions for you guys. So I'm going to let them.
And I don't know that I have much more. I mean, I think that summary's been provided. You know, we did, you know, extensive work on it. We had, as noted, and we met, I think, in February, March, and April with respect to the EdLub committee to put this before. We received, obviously, comments from the supervisors on that committee as well as the public. Took much of those comments to heart and made those changes, given that we had the 2 or 3 months to do so. And it passed, you know, unanimously through EdLub. So, you know, we think that it is in a good position to have this final second reading and get it over the finish line. So nothing, you know, further on our end. Other, we did have outside counsel review it with us as well. EdLub is familiar with that. I think outside counsel has been presenting there at one of those 3 public hearings. And so we're very confident and comfortable with that final product.
Just like to briefly add that this would be a conditional use, so application be made to the Development Services Office and pass through the EdLub Committee for approval and the townships. There are the conditions. If you have questions about it, you can certainly ask. There's everything from bonding of roads, buffers, and decommissioning the site. There's issues addressed in the ordinance about drain tiles, setbacks, minimum lot sizes, and minimum distance from residences or building envelopes.
Are there any questions? Supervisor Trottier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spent a lot of time in Walworth County, and I have heard some from farmers in Walworth County. Their concern from the 2 I've spoke with is runoff. Could you, water runoff through major storms that we have, could you just repeat that identifies what's being done for runoff within the ordinance, please?
There's best management practices that are to be followed. Also, with the conditional use application process, we will employ land conservation to go out to the site and give recommendations before construction. There's a major item that was added to the ordinance through the public hearings that we had. One, it was to establish, and it was actually from Chad Sampson, who was recommending this. It was to establish vegetation on the site before the projects began. And we're aware of some instances where that was not in place, and storms came and it severely eroded off the property onto public roadways and in the waterways. But this is one way we can try to control that from happening.
Is it in the ordinance that it's required prior or during or prior to the completion of the construction that it's added to the site?
It's added to the site. It's
Okay.
in the ordinance to add to the site
Right.
before construction starts.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does this ordinance apply to all of our municipalities or not?
It applies to the unincorporated areas, the 4 townships under county zoning.
Any further questions? I just want to make a comment. I want to thank you all for doing this. This came, again, you know, if you drive down south of us here, you down at KR, there's a massive solar farm out there. And it's very lucrative for the farmers to sign up for this. And I thought we should get ahead of the curve. And I want to thank you all, and I want to thank Tom and his committee for putting in the time and the effort to learn this topic and write this ordinance. I know I talked with Brian numerous times on this ordinance. I talked with my township planning commission. They went over it and gave recommendations. It was a very much of a team effort. And I think we've got a really good ordinance. So let the games begin. So I've got a motion to second. Is there any other questions? This is a roll call vote for both of them. No, excuse me, it's a majority vote for both of them. Thank you, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 12, reconsiderations of resolutions and ordinance from previous meetings and or actions on vetoes.
There are no items.
Reconsideration of notices or intent to reconsider resolutions and or ordinances.
There is no notice.
Informational reports.
Report number 2025-6 by Finance and Human Resources Committee submitting investment report for the first quarter year 2025 by the Racine County Finance Director. Report number 2025-7 by Finance and Human Resources Committee announcing donations made to Racine County between January 1st, 2025 and March 31st, 2025. Report number 2025-8 by Finance and Human Resources Committee announcing grant applications applied for by Racine County between January 1st, 2025 and March 31st, 2025. And report number 2025-9 by Finance and Human Resources Committee authorizing the settlement of the claim of Jimmy Wallace.
Miscellaneous business announcements and reports. Supervisor Horth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to share with everybody, in the interest of trying to be very proactive on what appears to be an uncomfortable situation. This past week in the town of Waterford, the Rufus King High School athletic track and field team had a meeting at Waterford High School. And over the weekend, I learned that it appears, and I say appears because there's still a lot of investigating and reviewing going on, that there was, let's just say, a number of students, track meet participants, people working the meet, people that were from WIAA that may have participated in racial slurs, mockery of names, and a series of other things that none of us would want to be associated with or have in our backyard. Now, over the weekend, I reached out immediately when I heard about this to the superintendent of the Waterford High School. And as expected, he was incredibly on point with this, and his review and his beginning of the communication with the Rufus King Athletic Department and others. He is, in fact, they're conducting a full investigation. I've encouraged them certainly to be extremely copious, very thorough, but certainly very proactive and aggressive as needed. I did share this also with Supervisor McReynolds and Supervisor Preitzker because our backyards basically have the majority of the students, I'm sure, going to Waterford High School. And I simply wanted to make the board aware because it's out in the media. Over this past weekend, it was on NBC News. I believe it may have been on CBS. I know for a fact it was in the Milwaukee paper as well as in the Racine Journal. And so there you go. So again, this is strictly an awareness because if you all hear it, this is in our backyard as in Racine County. I would want everyone to know that yes, we are aware of it. Yes, the school is addressing it. Last night I attended the Waterford Town Board meeting. Also encouraged their proactive approach to reach out and speak directly to the superintendent. I understand that the village president has actually already reached out and spoken to the superintendent to hopefully be a part of a solution and help support any of the communications or discussions that come out of this. As things get decided and as things become more clear, again, I emphasize, this is all, there are accusations, there are a number of innuendos. None of this has been verified or validated, which is what we are trying to make sure certainly would happen before we begin the process of doing any follow-up discussions. And I say we, not necessarily that we are directly involved, but certainly to be able to help support our community. So with that, if there are a question or two, I'm happy to do my best, although I will be candid. This is not something that I've been at liberty to release. I have gotten correspondence also that's been shared with me regarding Rufus King and some of the things that they have sent to the high school. So these are items that, again, generic items I'm happy to address. But if it gets too specific, I would hope that everyone would respect. I wouldn't be able to get too much in detail. And frankly, you'll see most of it in the newspaper if you want to see it anyway. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to share that. I'm sorry on the news. Thank you.
Supervisor Shakur.
Just a quick question. Is our fabulous sheriff's department involved?
It's not, this is more of announcements. That's how you can ask that.
Thank you.
Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just letting you folks know that we're having our second annual Murder Mystery Day in Union Grove on Saturday. So if you guys are available, want to come out and help figure out the murder mystery, it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, should finish up about 2:30, and it's a unique opportunity to come and see who done it. Thanks.
All right. I've got one announcement. Next week, we're having the breaking for our mental health facility. It's across the street from Taylor in the old Brennan Lumberyard. It's at 11 o'clock on the 20th. Supervisor Horth.
One more, by the way, we should all make sure that we thank our police department. This is National Police Awareness Week from the 11th until the 17th. So just again, thank you to all our men and women in service.
Thank you. Any further questions? Supervisor Coleman.
Just to follow that up, because we did just finish up Nurses Week yesterday. So to our constituents that are nurses, I want to say happy Nurses Week. And also, if you guys can just keep my family in prayer. I buried my auntie on Friday, Miss Carolyn Simmons. She was a great, great, great asset in my life. So I just wanted to say rest in peace, auntie. So just keep me in your prayers.
Any further announcements? We are adjourned.